1 John chapter 3, verses 4 through 10. Everyone who commits sin is guilty of lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. You know that he was revealed to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. No one who abides in him sins. No one who sins has either seen him or known him. Little children, let no one deceive you. Everyone who does what is right is righteous, just as he is righteous. Everyone who commits sin is a child of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The Son of God was revealed for this purpose, to destroy the works of the devil. Those who have been born of God do not sin, because God's seed abides in them. They cannot sin, because they have been born of God. The children of God and the children of the devil are revealed in this way. All who do not do what is right are not from God, nor are those who do not love their brothers or sisters. The word of the Lord. An interesting passage for a Thanksgiving celebration, isn't it? And so we're used to, and also I'm used to, using one of the normal texts for Thanksgiving and bringing it around to we should be thankful. But that's too easy sometimes. Sometimes I like to take the more difficult road. And how do we get to Thanksgiving from a text like this? Because as the title suggests, the title of today's sermon is The Devil That You Know. And quite often we are comfortable with the devil that we know. Quite often we are comfortable in the things that we are used to. Whether it's good or bad, at this moment it doesn't matter. Whatever we are used to being within, that's what we're comfortable in. That's what we're comfortable in. We're comfortable because we know the situation. We're comfortable because we're used to the situation. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad for us, good or bad to us, or how we really feel. It doesn't matter whether it makes us weaker, more tired, or more sick. We're used to it. So we continue with it. But is that really a reason to continue? Just because I'm used to it, is that a reason to continue in it? Just because I said I would, is that a reason to continue in it? We do these things to ourselves quite often. We put ourselves in those situations. But then as we try to move forward, we're prevented because of the things that we have created around us. The devil that we know has prevented us from moving forward. And as I was reading this text today, as I was studying it, as I was trying to find a way to bring it out in maybe a different light, I struggled because I started to see my own weaknesses within the text. The things that I have been through, the places I have been, where I grew up, how I grew up. I tried to imagine how it's easy for someone to judge another. And as an example, I was thinking about the immigrants that come into the country, fleeing and looking for better opportunity. It's easy to say, well, they broke the law, so therefore they should be arrested. They should be condemned. They have sinned because they broke the law. But yet, when I think about it from the other side, if it were me and my family that were struggling, and the only way to help was to go to this place to find work and put maybe a few dollars together, not so that I can be rich, not so that we can live in comfort, but just so that we can have the basics. How many of us would do that? Or would you stay and wait the 10 to 15 years because it's the right way to do it? I think sometimes we forget, because we are where we are, we forget the needs and the things that blind us to how to do things right, quote unquote. If my family were in need and I needed to go and find work someplace else in order to just provide them with food and maybe shelter. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go. And I think in a general sense, that's how we have deciphered and decided to look at sin. It's black and white. They broke the law, so therefore they sinned. It's easy to look at it when you're sitting at home with a big turkey in front of you and no needs, just everything you want. But it's not so easy when you see your children going days without food. It's not so easy when you're the one struggling and trying to bring something to the table. We try to make it black and white. That's why we like sin that is invisible. You see, in many of our Christian brothers and sisters, they like to point out those things that they consider sin because they can see it. This person is a sinner. That person is a sinner. This is what they do wrong. This is how they do it wrong. But yet, those hidden sins that they themselves do or that others in the congregation do, they don't point those out. They want to point out to those who can be seen, because if I'm pointing to you, everyone is looking at you and no one is looking at me. But yet it is not as easy as we want to make it. Black and white is not so easy to make it. Sin is something that we have to look at. And it's easy to say the devil made me do it, because we love to use the devil as an excuse. And don't get me wrong, I believe that there is evil in the world and there is a devil in this existence, but so many times we put ourselves in situations. So many times we cause the evil. So many times we've seen people do evil things. That maybe it was a seed of the devil that was planted, but still it's difficult to just blame this power that exists outside of them. When you see someone plan and take a window off of a hotel to shoot down at people in a crowd, I don't think the devil did that. I think it was the person who did that. When I see gunmen going into a pub and shooting because they were mad because they had gotten kicked out because they were too drunk, I don't see the devil doing that. I see people doing that. And when we put a face to sin, it changes how we view it. It's easy to say the devil out there, but what about the devil that's within and around us? What about the places we have put ourselves? What about the things that we do? How do we take responsibility, and how do we account for that? It's not so easy now, is it? But yet, even in the midst of all of this, with the devil that we know and the devil that we don't know, and the struggle of sin in our lives, and the hidden things that we don't want others to see, so we point out the things in others, even though all of these things are in and around us, we know that we believe in a merciful and graceful God. We believe that God not only helps us in our everyday, God has already provided a way out for us. For everyone knows that no one who abides in him can sin. And as I read that, I was worried, because it's like, can we live a sinless life? Because just earlier in the text and in Romans, we see all have sinned and all fall short. But when I read the text and look at some of the background, it's about sinning continuously. When God has opened our eyes, when grace and mercy have abounded within us, it is not that we don't sin, but we recognize and learn and move forward. We do not continue to make the same mistakes. And if you do, you need to take a survey of who and what is around you. The devil that you know may be around you, causing you to continue to slip up. But yet, even though there may be the devil around us that we know and that comforts us and pushes us to cause the fall again and again, we still know that mercy and grace abound. We know that God has provided a way for us to come out of that, but we have to do the work. The devil that came in and planted seeds and does and helps and comforts you is not going to leave so easily. Whether it is a person, whether it is a situation, whether it is a job, a relationship, or whatever it may be, it's not going to go away just like it didn't just come suddenly. It's going to take time and energy. But yet, God is calling us at this time, in this place, at this moment, God is calling you to start letting go of that devil that brings comfort, because the comfort that he brings or she brings is not a comfort that helps you to rest, but is a comfort that leads to destruction. For sin is lawlessness. No matter how little or white the lie may be, a lie is a lie. No matter how innocent it may seem, gossip is still gossip. No matter how unimportant you may try to make it, adultery is still adultery. No matter how much you try to make it less than what it is, sin is still sin. So today, as we move into this time of Thanksgiving, this time should also be of letting go. Letting go of those things and people and relationships and circumstances that are preventing you from finding that relationship with God, from growing more intimate with God, from growing away from your sinful way and moving into the righteous way, into a way where you get to hear and to experience God in a different form. Rather than being blinded, rather than being ears covered and muted by the devil that you know, it's time that you let go of that devil and embrace the Christ who died for you. Rather than embracing that which causes harm, it's time to embrace and be embraced by God whose love abounds endlessly. Instead of accepting defeat and struggle, maybe it's time that you accept and receive mercy and grace. Rather than expecting the worst in all situations, maybe now is the time to let go of the worst and know that God wants what's best for you. For the Son of God was revealed for this purpose. Jesus came into this world for this purpose. Jesus gave up eternity for this purpose, to destroy the works of sin, to destroy that which brings difficulty, to release you from your bondage, to strengthen you in your weakness. This is what God's Son was revealed to do. So you don't have to live in darkness because he is your light. You don't have to live oppressed because he is your freedom. You don't have to live quietly and voiceless because Jesus gives you voice. You don't have to hold on to what was because what is to come is greater than anything you could imagine. What was the Son of God revealed for? The Son of God was revealed for you and for me, that we may be loved, that we may live in mercy, that we may live in grace. And if there's anything that we should be thankful for, it's for the revelation and the coming of Christ. Because now, today, here we still stand after the long journey, after all the struggle, after the ups and downs of our roads in life. Here we still stand. When others may have thought it was over, here you still stand. When you feel it should have ended a long time ago, here you still stand. If you ever doubt that mercy and grace abounds within you, just remember that here you still stand. Amen. And now let